It's a beautiful Saturday morning. The sun is shining, there's a cool breeze in the air. It's not even 11 a.m. and I've already managed to get myself dumped. I am sitting in my bedroom and I can't stop crying. And all I can think of is that I just need to do something to stop feeling like shit. And so, obviously, I make the healthiest choice that you can in a situation like this, which is to immediately download Tinder. Right? So I'm like swiping furiously. I'm not even really seeing who I'm swiping right on because, the tears make that hard. And eventually I match with someone and he sends me a message. Hey, how's your day going? And my first thought is, free therapy. And so I tell him exactly how my day is going. Like I go into full details. And I'm fully expecting him to block me or tell me to fuck off. But instead, he tells me that he's sad to hear that I'm hurting. And he even goes so far as to send me a list of things that he's done to get over a heartbreak. And so we end up talking all day. And by nightfall, I am feeling so much better. And I know that I can't just jump back into dating. So I thank him for the conversation, I say goodnight, and I delete my Tinder. But this one exchange with the stranger has been so refreshingly positive that for the first time, I'm not terrified of being single again. So, I take 6 months off dating, focus on myself and all that good stuff. And when I finally get back on the horse, this time I decide to use Hinge. I don't know why you guys think that's funny. So I decide to use Hinge, and within days of downloading the app, I end up going on a date with this great guy. He's tall, he's cute, he's a musician who works at Lightspeed, which is the sweet spot in the Montreal dating matrix. And we have great banter. We both end up showing up at the bar 15 minutes ahead of time, and it ends up being one of the best dates of my life. Like, we get hilariously drunk, he's super attentive, he asks a lot of questions, and he even laughs at my impression of Vin Diesel from The Fast and Furious. We talk about everything, including how great dating apps can be at times. He tells me this really funny story about how he met this girl, went on a date with her, who couldn't speak a word of English, so they mostly communicated using Google Translate. And I tell him about the lovely stranger that I matched with, who had helped restore my faith in men. So by the end of the date, when I'm home, I'm floating. I had never felt so at ease with someone so quickly. In fact, the entire night, I just had this strongest feeling of deja vu, like his stories had felt so familiar, especially the one about Google Translate. Too familiar. That story was too familiar. Oh my God, no. I immediately take out my phone. I re-download Tinder again. I go back into my last match, and there he is. Somehow, after matching with him for the first time 6 months ago, I had ended up on a date with my kind stranger, and I hadn't even realized it. And so, obviously, I sent him a text asking him if he knew, and turns out he knew all along. But once he realized that I had no memory of him, he didn't want to embarrass me. But he sends me a text saying that, I'm really glad that we did end up meeting up because I had a fantastic time. The following week, I descend into a full spiral. I will obsessively check his Instagram, trying to piece together his life and how I might fit into it. I see a photo of him hanging out with his friends, these two really cool musician-looking girls, and I think about how when they meet me, they'll probably say to me how they hated all of Daniel's ex-girlfriends until they met me. I see a photo of him with his dad, and I think to myself, well, I've never met a boyfriend's parents before, but I wonder if it'll be easier if they're not white. And I'm having such a good time imagining my future with him that I don't even notice that I haven't heard from him in over a week. And when he finally messages me, it's to tell me that he's met someone. And he says that, Smriti, you're amazing, but I met this girl a couple of months ago and she's finally become available and I want to pursue this. Like, I'm so sorry if I wasted your time. And he tells me a bit about her, and she sounds nice, I guess. And I pretend to be happy for him, because I don't want him to know that I'm a crazy person who's already planned our next 75 dates. But I'm not gonna lie, it's a little hard for me to let go of it. Mostly because, after taking a break from dating, I was so ready to meet someone, fall in love, and everybody knows how rare it is to feel a spark. But most of all, I'm disappointed because it would have been such a good story. And anyway, but a year passes, I go on other dates, I move on, and into a brand new apartment. And as I'm decorating, I am completely obsessed with the idea of getting this one specific type of mirror. So I spend a lot of my time on Facebook Marketplace, looking for it, and one day I spot it. It's exactly the mirror that I want, the right size, shape, great price, and guess who's selling it? It's fucking Daniel. And at this point, I'm just like, what are the chances that I've been looking for this mirror and he's selling it? Clearly we're meant to be. This is kismet. I am social media's Cinderella and this is my glass mirror. And so I spent all day thinking of the perfect message to send to him. It has to be the right combination of flirty, but funny, but also casual. By 6 p.m., all I can come up with is, hey Daniel, is this mirror still for sale? So I say, fuck it, I send it. And he responds immediately. He's like, oh my God, yes, so good to hear from you. I hope you've been doing well. Yes, it's still for sale. We're also selling other things if you're interested. Huh. Who's we? Oh, it's the girl that I told you about. We're moving in together. I stopped responding at that point. And all I can think of is that here I was thinking that I was Cinderella. In fact, what had happened was that I'd gone to the ball, I met the prince, I danced with him, and when I left the party early, he met some other chick and decided to move in with her. So I wasn't Cinderella, I was more like the ethnic version of Good Luck Chuck. And I was so frustrated. And the universe and the algorithm had brought us together over and over again. I mean, surely that had to mean something. And so to try to figure it out, I go back to stalking his social media, to make sense of it. And eventually I scroll far back enough to see the first time that she appears on his gram. Now, social media is funny because in some ways, especially on Instagram, you can really track the trajectory of someone's relationship. So, I see the first photo that he posts of the two of them. They're at an alpaca farm upstate. He's grinning, into the camera. She's looking at him shyly. It's very cute. A couple of weeks after that, he posts a photo of her with those two musician girls. A couple of months after that, it's a picture of them, a couple of photos from their first road trip, and then finally, the most recent photo, her in an empty room in their brand new apartment. And it's funny because all of these scenes that I had imagined myself in, she was in them instead. And looking at Daniel's photos, I had the strangest feeling in my body, almost as if this were a movie, I wouldn't be the main character. I'd be the girl that the hero goes on a date with before he meets the love of his life. It turns out I was an extra in someone else's movie. And while I was mourning the loss of this story that I had made up with this guy that I'd only met once, an actual love story had been unfolding. A boy had met a girl, they had become friends, they had bonded over their love for Nicholas Char. She had finally agreed to go on a date with him, and he had fallen in love with her when he found out little details about her, like the fact that she loved alpacas and preferred, mint in her mocha. And she fell in love with him too, and they were so happy together that they decided to move in and start a life. And sure, maybe this story isn't as interesting as the one that was in my head, but it was real, and it was beautiful because it had actually happened. So back to the present moment here. In case you're wondering, yes, I am still single. Still, not because of that though. I swear I'm normal. Still dating, and I've gone on a lot of good and bad dates. And when it's good, I no longer let my imagination run wild. I've learned my lesson. But when it's bad, like when I'm walking home at night alone, trying to just numb the disappointment of another wasted evening, I'll let my mind wander just a little bit. I like to think about all the people around me who are falling in love right at this very moment, and their stories. And I think to myself, whenever my story comes along, I just know that it's going to be way better than I could possibly imagine. Thank you.